guys, I'm here at the office of the Queens World Film Festival where they will be airing their 6th annual Queens World Film Festival on March 15th through March 20th. I'm really excited to be sitting here with director Terry Katz and producer Alan Stark. They're both co-writers of the Pomonak Dreams. So guys, it's really exciting to be sitting here with you, finding out more about this film festival. But Terry, tell me a little bit about Pomonak Dreams.
Pomonak Dreams is a film about growing up in public housing in the 1950s and 1960s. It was a time period that was very different than today, and both Al and myself actually grew up in Pomonak houses in New York City housing development. And both of us being of different ages, both had an idea to do something about Pomonak, and we kind of got together and pulled our resources to make this particular film.
Awesome. So Alan, what can we get out of Pomonak Dreams?
I think you're going to find that we interviewed over 125 people, and people from the 50s to the 90s, early 90s, and so many of the people had such a fond memory and a feeling, a genuine feeling of how they grew up back in the 1950s and 60s in Flushing, Queens, in the Pomonak houses. Their remembrances of the community center, of the park, of the playing in the grass, hanging out in the basements, and it was a real sense of community, and it was a sense of people in it together, and it was just a kind of a good time and a good feeling growing up.
Awesome. So tell me about some of the settings some of us might see in Pomonak Dreams, you know, something that might bring you back to that sense of home, that feeling of home. Some famous spots or buildings in Pomonak Dreams?
Famous spots or buildings in Pomonak, for us, you know, there are a lot of places we remember. But one of the interesting things that people will see in the film is that during the 4 years it took us to put this film together, it was a labor of love. We worked on our own time to put it together. A lot of people reached out and contributed photos and films, and we have very cool imagery from back in that time period that, looking back on it, people will get a feeling and a sense of what it was really like, as well as these remembrances of the joy and the pleasure of having these friends back then, and staying in touch with these friends to this day. A lot of lifelong friendships developed back then, and you get a sense of that in the film.
So what would you say it was like growing up back then?
Well, it was a time when the TV was very limited. There was no air conditioning. Young people were out. We were in the street in the summer. We were out to all hours of the night. In the wintertime, the snow didn't bother us. We played sports, snowball fights. We were constantly out with our friends.
We were very inventive.
Inventive, okay.
Continue.
No, absolutely. We made up games. We played Skelly. We had, whether it was ring alivio or hide and seek or any incarnation of baseball, stoop ball, stick ball, punch ball. We had a playground, we had a park, we had a community center, we had the grass, and it was a wonderful time to grow up.
And we were up early in the morning, and we went outside to be with our friends, and then we didn't want to come home till our moms would be screaming for us to come home when it got dark. It was very different back then. Nothing to do in that.
So why should someone come out and see Pomonak Dreams?
Well, Pomonak, in the 1950s, it was a very special place. Pomonak was a very special place in time back then. It was a unique collaboration between the city, the progressives that had very positive ideas about housing, a collaboration between Robert Moses, a master builder. All these great minds got together, and they put together a sense of affordable housing that was from the beginning was based on respect. And it was based on respect and creating an environment for people to be nurtured in and to grow into responsible and contributing American citizens, as we called it back then. We were citizens, not consumers like we are today.
Who are some people in our community that we may be aware of that grew up in Pomonak?
Well, former Congressman Gary Ackerman, he's part of the film. Mr. G, the weatherman from TV and radio for the last 30 years. We had one of the characters from Deep Space Nine, Max Grodenchik. Mike Starr, a character actor, and he's been in Broadway, he's been in hundreds of films. our councilman in
Today.
Eastern Queens today, Barry Gredenchik, grew up there. So there were a lot of people and a lot of successful people, doctors and lawyers, people in industry, business. So it's a very varied and interesting group of people that grew up there in the 50s and 60s.
Awesome.
And if I could shed one thing, I think our film will help demystify a lot of the myths about public housing today. A lot of the negative about public housing, and show what could be done when important minds and smart minds get together and really try to do something positive.
So Terry and Alan, is this your first year with Queens Film Festival?
Yes.
This is your first year. And how do you guys feel about that?
We're excited. It's nice to be recognized in our home borough and to share this experience with other filmmakers from Queens and all over the world. And it's just great to be part of this whole endeavor.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that there's about 144 films being featured at the Queens Film Festival this year, and 29 filmmakers. So from Queens.
Right.
So congratulations, guys, that
Thanks.
you are
Makes it
one of the
even more
29.
special,
Yeah,
yeah.
very special. Very,
Yeah.
very special.
Thanks.
So, what's the one reason? Just throw it out there, Alan. Why should they come see this film on March 16th at 6 p.m.?
Come on out, see a slice of life of New York City in Flushing, Queens in the 1950s and 60s, how a group of families and parents and young people grew up together and had a wonderful experience in...
And now you come and be entertained for 64 minutes and you'll learn something you didn't know before.
Awesome. I just always love learning about new things, old things, everything, and especially everything Queens. So guys, make sure you come out March 16th, Pomonak Dreams. Let's support these two co-writers, Terry and Alan. I'm sure the film is going to be great.
Thank you. Thank you.
We lived through an amazing time in American history.
President Kennedy died. Shot to death.
Senator Kennedy has been shot.
The bad guys were not here. Bad guys were outside of us. And this was a very protected, wonderful place.
What's interesting about New York is that they didn't have any problem with the idea of government-subsidized housing. They knew how good the housing they were getting was. They realized that this was a tremendous opportunity. For many families coming from congested quarters, this was a transformation in living, a tremendous step up. A beautiful apartment with air, light, open space, modern, central heat, windows in every room. If you go back to the 1930s when public housing starts in New York, their idea is to basically bring higher quality housing to the working class of the city. There really was this sort of idea in this era of high quality delivered to the tenants.
There were like 4 flavors growing up here in Pomonak. They were Jewish, Italian, Irish, or African American.
These were all working class families.
Lower middle class.
Pomonak was like just one big family.
There was just kids everywhere.
It was almost as if no one was allowed to move into this project unless they had children.
Pomonak Houses was well known to be primarily white.
We were like 13 or 14 families, African American, when we moved in here.
I don't remember envy. I don't remember jealousy. These were good people who were not swept up.
We didn't know that we were different.
New York had a more open view about race relations.
We didn't know that you had to have race relations.
There was just an eclectic mix of cultures and religions and bar mitzvahs and confirmations.
The value was to study hard.
Very few kids played hooky in those days.
Our mothers would yell, "Come home and eat." We didn't want to go home. We wanted a place for boys.
If you wanted to be famous in Pomonak, then you could dunk that basket.
Because you grew up with so many people, so many families, different backgrounds, similar backgrounds, you learn how to be nice to people, you learn how to survive with people that have different ideas.
topics. Let we chat now.